Hi, this is Dr. Jenny Byrne. I'm the current committee chair of the North Carolina Psychiatric Association Technology Committee, and today I wanted to do a little video to talk more detail about SEO, or search engine optimization. So I thought the easiest way for me to do this is actually to send you to a website that is specifically designed to teach you the beginner's guide to SEO, and then to go through the chapters and kind of talk about the chapters and how they might relate to you as a psychiatrist, especially if you are in private practice and you're thinking about adding SEO to a website. So again, just a quick reminder, SEO is search engine optimization. That is how the internet search engines will find your website and bring people to you, and hopefully bring patients to you and help people understand what it is you do and to understand you a little bit better. So from here on out, we're just going to call it SEO, but it's search engine optimization. So this website is called Moz, and this part of the website is free, this guide. There are also products that Moz does to help you with SEO. There are many different places to do SEO. You can do it yourself. You can hire people to do it. But before making that kind of decision, I think it's really important to just understand a little bit about what SEO actually is. So let's go ahead and go through some of these chapters. Chapter 1 talks about how search engine operates. So I'm sure everyone at this point has used search engines. These are things like Google, Yahoo. Google's pretty much the main one that's used today. And the way that search engines work is they crawl around the web and they try to match what you're looking for with the site that answers your questions the best. So obviously, if you're a psychiatrist, this is important, because if somebody searches your name, you want to make sure that they find your website. You want to make sure that they don't go to other websites that have your name on them, like these doctor rating sites like Vitals or something like that, which isn't really an accurate representation of who you are and what you do. So you want to make sure that the search engines can find you. So here again, there's different ways in which the search engines determine relevance and popularity. And I think the main thing for you to know about this is that this is changing all the time. So the way that search engines find you is an evolving process, and every 6 months or so it's really changing. So you can't think of SEO as a static thing that you do once and then you just leave it there forever. It's really something that you have to be changing on an ongoing basis. So the bottom line here is that you're going to have to do SEO and maintain it, but the good news is that it does work. So if you have someone that knows what they're doing and spends some time on this, it is going to work. All right, I'm going to try to get to chapter 2 here. Here you go. How people interact with search engines. So not only you need to be able to make sure that the search engines can find you, but you have to know how people are entering search terms. And your patient maybe that's trying to find you, what are they typing into Google that they're trying to find somebody like you? They're probably not typing your name unless they're a direct referral to you. So say someone is new to the area and they're typing in psychiatrist. I'm in Chapel Hill, so maybe they say psychiatrist, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Well, they're not giving my name, so they're not going to come to my website directly. But here's where you can use SEO to help guide people looking for you to your site. And this is not always intuitive. This is why, again, having someone help you with SEO can be helpful. You can figure out what search terms are being used and what people are using to try to find people like you. So you can use your website design in a way to also help bring you patients. And we talked a little bit about that. Dr. Segura made a presentation, but also just to know that the way search engines will find you is sometimes determined by how your website looks and functions. So one downside to just doing your own website is that you may not have the SEO matched up perfectly. If you do some of the websites that have SEO built in, they might be able to match it a little for you. Or if you have a custom built website, this is where you can get really powerful SEO, because you can design the website with certain goals in mind. Like say you're a psychiatrist and you really want to attract bipolar patients. You could design the website so that the SEO for bipolar patients looking for doctors is going to come to you more often. So again, the more you customize this, the more people are going to be able to get to you. And the way you design your website, actually, if you start with the SEO in mind, it's going to facilitate that. Chapter 3. So why is this all necessary at all? And I will just start by saying, if you are just trying to have a landing page where you're not trying to guide people to your website, all you're trying to do is make sure that if somebody Googles your name, they're going to find you. This part is less important. It's not really marketing at that point. All you're doing is having a landing page that people can find. So you still need some SEO so that the search engines find you, but you don't need really the marketing end of things. The marketing would be as if you're using the website to bring patients into you. So there's two different functions, and you want to think carefully about what you want for your practice. If you just want a landing page, you can do that really simply, cheaply, without a lot of maintenance. However, if you're trying to use the website to bring you patients or to guide patients who might be interested in seeing you, then you really have to think of it more as marketing. And in that case, you really need search engine optimization, and this gets a little more complicated and a little more expensive. So there's some examples they just give here of how if your website isn't set up to maximize SEO, you can cause problems. So for example, they give something here. If you have an online form, a search engine is not going to complete an online form. So if there's something on your site that's blocked until you do the form, it's not going to see it. If you have duplicate pages, this is going to cause a problem for search engines. And then there's some more technical stuff here with the poor link structures and the non-text comment. But the bottom line is, again, the way you design your website, the pages of your website, the setup of your website, if you don't have SEO marketing in mind when you design it, you may be causing yourself more problems. So a true internet strategy, or what they call a digital media strategy, is when you've designed your website and your SEO to work together. And ideally social media too. Really, you want to have the three of those working on the same goal and the same timeline. So here it's showing about how search engines are competitive. And remember, if you're using this as a marketing tool, it is going to be competitive. And you're going to want to show up in the first page of lists. You're not going to want to show on page 5 or 6. So if you don't have a good SEO system, you might get buried in later pages of the search. If you have good SEO over time, you're going to compete well and you're going to rise up to the top. Now some of them, I'm sure you've seen on Google, they have some ads at the top. That's a different story. Those are paid. So that thing at the top, it says ad, that's something that people are paying for. What we're talking about is below the ads. What are the first sites showing up below the ads? That's really what you want to have, because if you think about it, your patient is going to Google you and search, and they're not going to get to page 10, right? They're probably going to look at page 1, maybe page 2 or 3, but they're not going to just keep digging around typically until page 10. Again, here it's constantly changing. So SEO marketing is probably changing even faster than the regular SEO for landing pages. So if you don't do this, you should expect that your Google search or other search is going to drop down over time. So as you can see, this is a bit of an investment, time and money. So if you really want to use SEO for marketing, you should be aware of that up front, because it's not something you can just set and then leave it alone. You really are going to have to update it every 6 to 12 months at a minimum. Otherwise, there's really no point in spending the time on it, because you're going to drop down into the lower pages of search, and then, what's the point of spending all your time and money on it if you're not going to get the results you need? So here's it. Chapter 4 talks a little bit about the basics of the design and development. Again, I had mentioned that you want to design the website up front to match with your search engine marketing. So If you built a site already and you just want to tack on SEO, it doesn't always work that way. You might actually have to rebuild the site. So here's some technical terms about things that they do. Images, for example, you really can use images in a very powerful way for search engine optimization. It's just a lot of different things. And I'm not suggesting you read all of this and you know all of this, but I'm just suggesting that you are aware of the complexities of SEO, because I think you're going to hear from a lot of marketers who come to you and say, oh, I'll do your SEO for you. And you should have an understanding of how complex that really is. And somebody just, linking you to Google Plus or social media, or, making sure that you're found in the phone book, that's not really what we're talking about with SEO. It can be quite sophisticated, and you have to determine before you hire someone or before you do it yourself exactly how much you want to do. So they're just giving some examples here of different text behind the photos that will make the search engines work better. And again, it talks here about how the website is structured. The different pages are linked to make sure that the search engines can find them. If you don't link it properly, they can't find you, so you're wasting it. So here are some reasons down here. They give out why a page is not reachable. And you can see that there's a number of different things that you're probably not even aware of that could be making it difficult for search engines to find you. So again, if you are going to do this and you're really going to use search engine optimization for marketing, there are a lot of different things that go into this. It's not a simple one-time fix-all. Here they talk about keywords. So you've probably heard about keywords. Keywords are what the search engines use to search. It's not as simple as just putting the keywords in the title of the page and then search will find you. It's not quite that easy. You want to think about how the pages are structured, what their names are, what text is on the page, what keywords people are actually looking for. So again, it's kind of a complicated process. Here they talk about keyword abuse. I kind of like that idea. That's how people used to try to get their keywords found. They used to stuff it in everywhere they could possibly think of. So they would pick a popular search term and then stuff it into a page where it didn't really make any sense. And now, as these engines get more and more sophisticated, that doesn't really work. Title tags, so here how you design the title page is very important in terms of how search finds you. So if you're like me and you're just trying to do this on your own at first, you're not really going to be aware of all this, and you're going to do things which probably make search engine optimization makes it hard for people to find you. So again, if you have someone hired, this is the kind of thing they should be doing. Meta tags, again, this is a little bit more complicated. If you hire someone to do SEO, they may work on these. The structure of the URL can matter. How you construct the URL. Different versions of content. So again, I'm not suggesting that you know all of these things, rich snippets. But the bottom line is there's a lot here. It's complicated. If someone's doing SEO, these are all the things they're doing. So if somebody just walks up to you and says, oh, I'll do your SEO, and they don't really talk about these kinds. If you ask them, well, what exactly are you going to do? These are some things they should be able to talk about. Keyword research, as I mentioned, keywords are something, this is what people are searching for. Ranking for the right keywords can make a big difference, but general keywords don't always work. Sometimes specific ones do. This is, again, not as easy as it sounds. You'd think you could just put psychiatrist in and that would be the best keyword, but it turns out that it's not. So here's some examples of what SEO managers do to find the best keywords. So it's kind of like finding that balance. You don't want a keyword that's overly general, but you also don't want a keyword that's too specific. So here are some different ways that people can do keyword research. Google AdWords is a common task, and I had worked on that a little when I first did my website. That's something that you could probably work on yourself. It's not too complicated, but again, I would warn you that these are a big time investment. And if you're trying to figure out all this from scratch, you've never done this before, it does take a lot of time. How usability, user experience, content affect the search engine rankings. So again, the bottom of the line is, you want your website to do the following things, right? You want it to be easy to use, navigate, understand, direct, actionable information, professionally designed, high quality, legitimate, credible content. So how do you do this? Again, I think this is hard if you're just doing it on your own. But if you have someone who's going to do your website design, this would be some questions you could ask them. So how is my site going to do these things so that it works with SEO? So here's some more technical ways that search engines try to determine what's high quality. So we've all had the experience of Googling something and there's a lot of junk that shows up. The search engines actually try to figure out what's high quality and put that at the top, and they try to put low quality stuff at the bottom. It may not always seem that way when we Google something, but they do try to do that. So these are some different technical ways in which they do that. Crafting content. Again, the content of your website, these might be like your blogs or description of your services. There may be ways that this can be written such that it's easier for search engines to find you. So again, it takes a creative, high-quality writing, and images can help. But these are all things that are not intuitive to us as psychiatrists. So if you hire someone, these are the kinds of things they should be able to do for you. Chapter 7, growing popularity and links. So we all know how this can kind of work, right? We have some idea that if other websites link to us, or people read our blog, or we're going to grow in popularity, and that's going to help pull us up on the search. So this has been going on for a while, but now they're getting more sophisticated on how they do that, and it's not a matter of just having a lot of links onto your site. So it used to be sometimes that SEO would focus on putting links into other people's sites that just brought them over to you regardless of the quality. But now they're getting a little bit more sophisticated. So global popularity is, when the more people click on it, the more popular it is, basically. But then there's other types of popularity here, which they show you some examples. And the trust ranking, again, that's how trustworthy are you? How fresh are you? So this is the big one. I see people do websites and they just leave it there and they don't change it. So you're going to drop in the rankings if you don't make changes to your site over time. Or links into your site, you're going to tend to drop down. Social media, here's where social media can be a big plus for you. You should have a social media strategy if you're going to use it. It should link to your SEO and to your website. So this can really change how you do in search optimization, but it's not always obvious. Like, so for example, most people use Facebook and they don't use Google+. But if you use Google+ for your SEO and social media, it's going to boost your ratings on Google. So even though Facebook is more popular, Google+ is the sister of Google. So using Google+ will pull you up on Google. So that's just something recent that's been going on. That's an example of how this is not intuitive. So here are some different types of links that people can build. And again, if you're having someone manage your SEO and website, these are things that they can recommend to you. And it's a campaign. So you start this and you have to keep going. If you do it once and then you stop, again, it's not really competitive. So this is an ongoing commitment. If you really want to do this, you have to put some time and money into it. It can be highly effective, but it is a commitment. So here are some strategies. So for example, if you have someone who wants to do SEO for them, you could ask them, well, what is your link building strategy, and see what they say. See if they have some information on this that seems like it makes sense. Buying links. Buying links is strongly discouraged at this point. Used to be that you could buy links and that would help with your ratings, but right now it's not doing that as much, so you got to work on this if you want it to work. Tools and services. So again, this is kind of just an example of how much complexity there is to the SEOs. They use all these different technical terms here, which I'm scrolling down through to help them look through the web and find what they want. This is changing all the time. So again, if you're not up on SEO, or if you just do it once and then let it sit for years and years, you're going to be way behind on this. This is really something that evolves all the time. I think this website, Moz, does offer some services. So this is an example of a website you can use to provide some of these services if you want. Myths and misconceptions. I think this one's a good one. So there are a lot of things that used to be considered kind of top of the line SEO, and that's changed already quite a bit. So for example, these keyword stuffings we mentioned before, where they just cram a bunch of stuff onto a page to try to get SEO, that doesn't work anymore. Paid search doesn't work anymore. There's spam, which doesn't work anymore. So basically, as soon as someone tries to manipulate the system, they come up with a way around it. Cloaking, low-value pages. So I think the main take-home from this is that it's an evolving process and it does change. So if someone tells you, oh, hey, you can fix your SEO by just making a lot of links to you, that advice may be 6 to 12 months old and that may already be outdated. So you can't really follow people who just say, oh, this is a one-size-fits-all, this will work for you. Here's some more penalties. All right, let's go on to the end here. Measuring and tracking success. So I want to take a minute here because this is important. If you're going to do SEO, you're supposed to measure it and track it. Otherwise, how do you know it's working? You may be wasting a lot of time and money. So if somebody wants to do SEO for you, they should be able to track data and give you reports. So here's some examples of things that they can track. They can track your visits and where they're coming from. They can show you changes that are happening, how you're doing with others in your field, how specific phrases are. So say you wrote a blog, again using bipolar as an example, on Lamictal for treatment of bipolar disorder. You can then go and see if people search Lamictal bipolar, how many times that hits you with that search. You look at the conversion rate. So for example, is if you want to see how many people came into the site, how many of them then clicked on to make an appointment. That would be a conversion. The pages which are getting visits from search engines, you can see which pages are more successful than others. And here's an example of all the different types of analytic software you can use. Some are free, some are paid. Again, this can be as simple or as complex as you want, but generally there's going to be some cost. If you have someone doing SEO, generally there's going to be some cost. Here's some other metrics. Google does a nice job. Bing is another option. Moz, that's the website we're looking at right now. They give you a lot of possibilities. And then you want to have some strategy. You want to look at your data. You want to see what's changing. You want to fix things, make them better, see if you can get your ranking up higher. Okay, so here we're at the end of their beginner's guide. If you are interested in getting more details of this, I recommend you go to the website and just read through it on your own when you have some time. I think some of the take-home messages from this presentation are that there's two main kinds of SEO. There is SEO that just gets you to a landing page, and that's much simpler, cheaper, easy to do. You can probably do that yourself. Or if you want to be marketing and you want to be guiding patients to your site, that's going to be more complicated. That's when you probably need to hire somebody, or you're going to spend a lot of time on it yourself. It's something that's constantly changing every 6 to 12 months. It's something that you're going to want to track and have strategies that match your website design and your social media. So I would encourage you to think about it in two ways. Do you want to have just a landing page for people to find you, or do you want to actually use this as a marketing tool? Because that's going to lead you down two very different paths. So I hope this was helpful, and I will look forward to further presentations from the Technology Committee. Thanks.